Love says, I love you. I love you if you're in China. I love you if you're across town. I love you if you're in Harlem. I love you. I would like to be near you. I'd like to have your arms around me. I'd like to hear your voice in my ear. But that's not possible now. So I love you. Go.
I think we would never eliminate racism, the effects of slavery. And my reason being that there are just some people who choose to be ignorant. Simple. You have some people who want to be successful, some people who drive on helping others, and you have some people who are just comfortable with being ignorant. We just have to accept that reality, that some people would choose their life to be racist. They're comfortable with it. I'm comfortable hating you. I'm comfortable disliking you. I don't want to change. There's nothing wrong with the way I think. And I'm going to stay like this until the day I die. So absolutely, it's always going to exist. Now, whether or not we allow that existence to affect us is another thing, but the truth is it's always going to be there.
I would agree that I would say that we would never, when you use the word eliminate, to annihilate, never, its complete existence, I don't believe that, because I believe the root of it is hate. The root of it is evil. The root of it is fear. And those are things that are just found in the balance of the world. We don't appreciate sunshine unless we've been in the dark. And I think the God we serve understands that. I think in our creation, he knew that without struggle, there will be no victory. And whether it would be just because our subconscious mind wouldn't be able to celebrate unless we saw, I came from this to this. And so in the balance of the world, we need to have good as well as evil. We need to have victories as well as losses. And so racism falls into that loss. It falls into that group of people who are rooted in the fear, because I think that's what racism is rooted in, fear of another culture, the lack of knowledge. And so you fear what you don't understand. And so as long as we're rooted in those balances that make the earth, it'll never continue, it will never eliminate itself, but we can overcome, which is we can, in spite of, excel. And so that's what I feel like, that's where we have to place racism, as part of the balance. But if it's imbalance as far as us recognizing it, as far as us doing something different to counter it with a positive action, then it becomes us. And so we don't want it to become us. We just want it to be a force. But then we have to become the other opposing force to be reckoned with. And so it never eliminates itself. I think it's a part of the victory. We have to have the struggle. You know, even when, for my own personal sake, I always say, you know, even in my book, that I would never take back the things that I've been through. I would never take back the struggles that I've gone through, because it has shaped me. Had I been privileged or had every door that I knocked on open for me, would I be the Shamina that I am today? And I don't think so. And so I think, you know, I thank God for who knows me so well and knows us so well, that knows we need opposition to appreciate one another. We need an opposing force to give us something to push forward to. So definitely, racism will never be eliminated, but we can definitely make it and use it to add to our creativity and our force as a people.
I agree with both, but the question I raise is, will we be able to eliminate racism within our own culture as opposed to eliminating the racism that comes from other cultures? It's nothing racist about, like, you can look at the Ku Klux Klan. It's nothing to me racist about them wanting to keep their race pure, so long as you're not trying to destroy other races and people for their accomplishments, their beliefs, and who they are. You understand? So until we eliminate that within inside ourselves and separate ourselves from those who function from that kind of mentality, superiority over another one who makes you think that you're inferior. You know, that's what it was in slavery time. It was a supremacy of this race over the blacks that we made them think that you're inferior. And we still psychologically scarred with those inferiority complexes about who we are. No, let us teach our own children about our greatness, our accomplishments. We can learn about other races, their great ones and their accomplishments. Until we learn and reconnect ourselves about our true history, we will never grow and evolve and eliminate the self-hatred and the racism that exists inside our own selves.
That was definitely a good point, because it's amazing how even in my response, the first place we go is, how do we fix their perception of us? When that alone right there was proof of the damage. Because the first instinct is to say, how do we improve upon their vision of how they see us? When the true racism, as you have explained to us, is really within ourselves, which that form of racism can be corrected because it's something that we've adopted. It wasn't in us. We weren't the creators of it. So we're sustaining something that we didn't create. And so we can give it back to the people who've given it to us. We don't have to adopt it as law. And so that's amazing to me. It just showed for myself how, wow, the first place I went was how can we create a platform in which a Caucasian person can appreciate my African American self, when the truth is that, can my sister and my brother appreciate me? Can I appreciate them?
I really do. And just to touch on that a little bit, it goes back into slavery time. You know, the light-skinned ones were in the house. Dark-skinned ones were in the field. You had a certain texture of hair, you were a good slave. And if you had a certain body, then you were a strong slave. And so the house slaves, and as they call them, the house, you know, the N-word, how they looked at the field N-words, and I was better than you because I'm eating off my master's plate, and you're nothing because you're eating the insides of a pig. And so this created, here we go with the subconscious and conscious again, this created a subconscious racism within our own race. You know, I mentioned earlier about how even I, as a child, had a problem with my dark skin. Not because I thought it was ugly, but because I thought other people thought it was ugly. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're taught that light skin was better. It is better. You know, having a certain texture here, a certain length of hair, that's the best thing. You know, oh, you got good hair. We're taught what good hair and bad hair is. And like you mentioned, the first thing we do is go to other races, but a good question is, can we eliminate the racism inside our own people? And how do we start by that? Again, it goes back to the source, love. If we love ourselves, then it's easy to love my sister. If I love my skin, then it's easy for me to love the skin you're in. Because I have confidence in what I am and who I am. Have confidence in my being and my creation. But the moment that there's still self-hate, when there's still a little bit of denial of acceptance of who we are, both inside and out, it's impossible for me to love you if I can't even love myself. It's impossible for me to appreciate who you are, the talents that you were giving, the shell that you were giving, if I can't even appreciate my own talents, my own gifts, my own shell. None of these things are important. I can't stand the way I look. And society has placed in us the image, the nose we should have, the weave we should wear. We got Brazilian and Hawaiian, silky. We got all these European hairs coming from across seas because this isn't good enough. It's not good enough. My afro is too nappy and my skin is way too dark, and so I'm putting on concealers and stuff trying to lighten my skin. And don't get me wrong, a sister loves MAC. However, I love the skin that I'm in. I love the skin that I'm in, and I think the moment when we realize that racism comes in our own people from what they taught us. They made us hate each other on purpose. It was done. Everything was a strategic, like you said, it was strategic planning out. This is how we're going to break them down. The same thing they do in the jail systems now. The same thing they do in the U.S. Army and the new U.S. Navy. They break them down. And they call it building them back up. Mm-hmm. But they break them down to what they want them to be. And then they build them back up to the people that they need them to be. And so the same thing that they do now, they did then. So in the spiritual, so in the natural, that the same thing that the enemy has did 500 years ago is the same thing that the enemy is now doing to myself. So I can't stand myself, so how can I possibly stand you? Yeah. I was taught to hate you.
Right.
And, you know, we were taught also, it could be done in a few words if we just accept our own and be ourselves. Accept who I am, accept who you are, and be yourself. When I look in the mirror, or when a person looks in the mirror, you shouldn't look to see somebody else's reflection. Accept the reality of who and what you are. If there's any changes that I want to make about self, you want to make about self, you make that, but don't look to see someone else's reflection, because when you do that, that sparks within inside that self, that envy, that jealousy, that they say, that green monster. So I can't see my brother who may have something I may feel as though that I feel as though I should have. So I'm going to hate him behind that? That's ignorance. When you see another sister that you think she has a look or she has something that you feel as though you have, and to see her dispossessed or to see him dispossessed of the thing that you may negatively envy about him, that's sickness. So we have to accept our own and be ourselves.
I believe yes. I believe marriage is a necessary component. Why Sister Shamina mentioned earlier that there's power in unity. There's a scripture that says, how can two walk together unless they agree? That there's power in unity, that one person can win some things, but two people can win many things. And so the unity of a oneness, marriage is supposed to signify a oneness, even though for some they get married for other things. But in reality, when we're supposed to get married, it's supposed to signify that we agree that we're going to fight this good fight together. We agree that whatever we have to face, whatever we have to deal with, we're going to do it as a unit of one. And when the kids come along, we're going to still move in a oneness. And so marriage, it's supposed to signify that. And because it's supposed to signify that, it's kind of downrated. It's kind of pushed to the side, and it's kind of made, now I don't have to get married. We've been together for 5 years. I'm saying I don't have to marry him. Why do you feel that way? And I always tell people all the time, and I'll mention it here, you can be with a man and a woman your whole life, 15 years. Y'all done raised kids together. Y'all done been through good and bad times together. But at the end of his or her life, when the doctor says to you, who do I get to sign these papers? You cannot have a word on that person's life because you did not join together in matrimony. So yes, marriage is essential. It's essential for both personal reasons and reasons for the world. Because you can spend your whole life, invest everything. Y'all can build houses together and everything else. But at the end of the day, that person is an individual because you decided not to join yourself with that person. Why spend your whole life loving on a person, building with a person, but have no say-so when it's time for that person final goodbyes? I mean, that's just something minor, but it means so much. It means so much to an individual. And as a wife, I can't imagine someone telling me, shut up and sit down, let his family member come up and speak for him. But I've cried with him. I've seen him on his worst day. I've seen him on his best day. And for me not to have a say-so, I can't see it. So marriage is essential. It's important. It's important for your kids to see that you took the step to go beyond what statistics said that you wouldn't do. I believe that we should set a foundation for our children, and I believe that marriage is one of those foundations that we set for our kids, for them to see, well, if mommy and daddy work through it, so can we. I can do this. And I can make my marriage last because I see my mother and my father work and fight for what was theirs. So yeah, marriage is important to me, and I think that it should be important in our community as a people, and I think that we should push it more instead of saying that, oh, that's your man, that's your girl. No, that's your husband, that's your wife. Not wifey, not husband as playing. No, legally, y'all got papers on each other.
Again, she's right and exact. A word only has power, again, when it's executed through action. So not just to lip profess to say that we're married, as the sister said, to really put the work. Work means force, time, distance. And we're not applying any force to the weakness of ourselves. We can't make any distance or travel any distance, meaning make motion in this marriage. To make this marriage have power, this marriage has to have power. And when you possess truth in marriage, you possess light, life, and power. So when my battery is low or, I need to be recharged, I don't go stick something in a wall. I plug into my wife. Not saying in an intimate way like that, but that's an aspect of marriage. But I charge, right. I get my charge from my wife, and my wife gets her charge from me. We've lost that connection until we regain that connection and not just lip profess it, just to wear something on a wall or say, this is my marriage certificate to say that we united in the presence of other people, but inside the home we're disunited and, disunified like that. Is strength in oneness, two individuals becoming as one, because I believe in marriage, before marriage, you have to make an individual divorce. You individually divorcing yourself and letting go of those mind states that I'm married to her, but I can still, no, absolutely not. We're going to respect this contract, and this contract only has power when we execute it through action.
Yes. Well, I definitely agree with both sides of the spectrum, because I think we're all on the same wavelength here, which is that marriage is the first family. It's the key. It's the first atmosphere that's conducive to recreating the creative energy that we need to spread to others. And so, yeah, it's definitely important. It's important to understand that for most people, they say, why get married? We're together. Why not? Why get married? Why can't I just sit with you and say, I dedicate myself to you for the rest of my life and it'd be okay? And that's the first thing, because I believe that's what, Kenneth was talking about. Like, yeah, that's the first thing. That paper can hang on the wall and you hate each other. And we've seen that happen over and over again. But the first thing is to say, I'm going to divorce myself. I love that. And marry you in the spiritual, which is between us, before we even get to an altar and a party and demonstrate it publicly in front of people. That the first marriage happens between the two individuals. Because if the paper burns, if we move to another country and it's not validated, or somewhere halfway across the world and they don't understand what you're saying, we're still married. And so the first marriage happens from within. And it's the subconscious, it's the conscious, it's the decision, it's the choice to say, I choose to build with you. I choose to become one with you and get my charge from you, and our creative energies match. So it's not even work. It happens. But we got to take enough time to find that creative energy. And when you find it, then are you willing to work hard enough to keep it? But I definitely believe that the public demonstration of it, when I talk to people why do it? Why have the yes, propaganda commercialized it. Yeah, the world commercialized it and said, hey, you got to have a $3,000 dress on. You got to pay at least $60 per person. We got to have it here and do this. That is all wish-wash. You end up broke and you end up in trouble. And most times you end up working 10 times harder afterwards to try to buy the house that you could have bought with the money. But yes, but I do believe in the public demonstration. Do we have to go broke over it? No. Each person can determine what their public demonstration will be. But I think there's power in public demonstration. No different as when we go to another country in the form of war and we just stand there and we post ourselves there. And there's a demonstration of power in that. That means you cannot infiltrate this because we are here. And so if they do it in war, why not do it in love? If they say, hey, publicly, the United States of America is powerful and you're not going to come and infiltrate us, then why should we not say that you're not going to come in and infiltrate the Smith house and the Jones house? Because now Smith and Jones is together and we are the Joneses. And so now you can't infiltrate us. So it's really about publicly letting the world know who we are. Once we've already made the connection, once we've already decided between us and God that this is what we want to do, now let's present ourselves to the world, because they need to learn from us and we need to establish ourselves as valuable and unable to be infiltrated. If we have more couples presenting themselves as units not to be infiltrated, then that's when I think, marriage is necessary. So for all the people who know why and, why do I have to stand up here and invite people? You invite people as a public demonstration. They put it on the news to show you that we're powerful because we can stand in different parts of Iraq and just delegate and just stand there. They show you different countries of how we go there and we just post ourselves up. We rule, we change things. Why not us show them this is who we are? It's not about the huge party, but a public demonstration, I believe, is necessary in order to say we will not be infiltrated, and we don't have to be quiet about it because public demonstration exudes power.
And one more thing just came to my mind. It's a difference between living a marriage and existing in marriage. I'm going to use this water bottle as an example. We all had these water bottles before us. We were going to talk and our mouth would get dry, parched, and we want to, wet our whistle. Now, while these water bottles were sitting on the table, now when it took time for us, the time came for us to wet our whistle, if we just sat there and looked at the bottle and never opened it, or if I took the top off this pen and said, you'd have been like, you crazy. That pen wasn't created to quench your thirst. So when I take this water bottle, unscrew the top, and ingest this water, now it's serving its purpose of why it was created. But just to sit there, it has the potential to serve its purpose, but it's just existing. So man and woman in a home, you're just existing with one another. She's in the house, he's in the house. But when, as comparable to me drinking this water, now it served its purpose, now it's living. But to sit in this bottle is just existing. So in the home, we're existing with one another. But just like if I drink this water, now we're serving its purpose. When are we going to serve the purpose for marriage as opposed to just existing in marriage?
Can I explain Brother, can I have a question?
Yeah.
How do we exist in a marriage together? We're in a home together. We're standing there. We're like a bottle of water is not open. So how do we open a bottle of water? And how do we speak life? How do we coexist with each other and become one?
Go into that subconscious mind, as you said. It's already in us. We have to be willing to pay the price, like diamonds, gold, uranium. It's in the earth. We know it's there. But it's one thing to know that it's in the earth, but it's another thing to go in and extract it out of the earth. You are the earth. I am the earth. We have to go within inside ourselves, extract, activate, then bring it forth, and we'll be living then.
I definitely feel that in the males, the role of training our males up to say that marriage is an option is important. And teaching them the true essence of why it's important. Because we spent, and the world has spent, media and everything else has spent a lot of time in teaching our males the propaganda of marriage to the point where they believe it has no value at all. And so if we can raise our young men up to choose women who choose God and choose women who have this light and teach them how to recognize the energy of a good woman, even in her lowest place, teach them how to recognize the essence of a strong, perspective mother. And if we can do that and then teach them that marriage is now the key, it's the next step. It's the opening of the bottle. And when you drink it, then now we can raise children with light. We can transform energy, and we can go into atmospheres and completely transform the energy of a room when you come and a unit walks into the room that has not only physical view, but spiritual and emotional view. You can feel it. You can feel the unit. And so if we can train our young men to feel that, if we can train them to recognize that in women, we restore the woman who believes she's nothing because he sees it. And so he waters the flower and it grows. And now you have an amazing garden that no one else would have ever seen. No one else would have ever even taken the time. They probably would have pulled up and counted it off as weeds. So if we can teach our young men to sift it and see it, because I'm a firm believer that men have an eye, that we all have gifts and talents. The woman brings something to the table that the man doesn't, and the man brings something that the woman doesn't. And if we can begin to stop battling each other and respect each other's jurisdiction and each other's gifts, men have an amazing gift of sight, especially to see within the woman. And so if we use the gift of sight and we honor them for their gifts and we respect them and know that they're not going to see our lowest places and our flaws and use it against us, but they're going to help and water us and rebuild us to trust, then we can definitely, marriage is key. But it's all in, I believe, restoring our young men to sift out and sift, because what's happening is we're picking over damaged goods and not knowing what we have, and then we're overwhelmed by it, and so we throw it away and we say all women are boo, ba, and everything else. So if we can begin to say, I see you. And it's an amazing thing, because I always say, I don't have children myself, but I wanted in my mind a son, to raise him to say, I see you, woman, in your dark place. And I love you enough to sit back and watch you and water you until you blossom, and then I'll pluck you. And if we can raise young men to have that mindset that you are a tiller of a land, this is yours. Pick wisely, but water her along the way, then we are on our way.
Women stop trying to be men, and men stop trying to be women. That play your position. Society has us thinking, that a woman. There's a commercial, and this commercial has been coming on for years, and every time I see it, it bothers me. And no one else seems to think that this commercial bothers them, but it bothers me. It's one of the school's commercials, a school, right? And it comes on, and this woman is on the bridge, and she was like, I'm a single mom, and you're a single mom, right? Why can't you do it? I went to school. Why can't we got to do everything ourselves, don't we? And I'm sitting here thinking, how society, they'll ask you a question and answer it for you, and you're thinking that that's the right answer. Mm-hmm. So we have women who are now being the men, and men who are staying home and being the woman. And so roles have changed. Positions have been exchanged subconsciously, not even realizing that we're in the wrong clothing. I'm wearing a suit and you're wearing the dress, and we're wondering why there's a battle, because I'm fighting for my femininity and you're fighting for your masculinity, and we both hold each other's cards.
Yeah. That is amazing, because people will say, "Oh, well, there's nothing wrong." See, that's what they say. There's nothing wrong with the man staying home, and everybody. See, the thing is that man has a natural desire. We go back to Adam. We can go back to the beginning to work and cultivate. He was judged based on how well he worked and he cultivated. How well you kept your house. Were your children fed? Was your house built strong? These are the things that define a man. You give a man the rules. You give him an outline, and they will conquer. It's in them to conquer. So when we take away the ability to conquer and we say, I will conquer, then they lost. And then there's nothing to conquer but you. And so they challenge you and they conquer you, as in the men conquering the women. And so if we allow them to conquer what they were put on this earth to conquer, which is the world, which is to go out and do and make and create, and we don't become the object of destruction, because that's not for us. It's not for us, but we're taking it because we're believing in the lie, which is that if he's good at cooking, then cook. But does that make him less of a man if he cooks? No. See, understanding the essence of an individual, taking away the boundaries that the world has given us, that men lift heavy objects and women barefoot and pregnant. But there's beauty in barefoot and pregnant. There's strength in barefoot and pregnant. There's strength, and there takes energy and knowledge to lift the box and not kill yourself. And so we start to define things for ourselves. In relationship, we are constantly looking for a blueprint. It's hard. It's not easy. So we want to find somebody who wrote the book on it. We want to find somebody who has the brilliant answer, the experts. And we want to go to people and say, please tell me what to do. When the reality is that you plant your seeds. And if you have daffodils and I have roses, I can't ask you, because you are going to tell me how to raise my daffodils like roses. And so know your own garden and continue to make your own rules as long as they line up with the source. If we use, like we've been saying, God and his divine plan for our lives, and we move out of love, how can we go wrong? How can you go wrong? But it's when we compare each other's situation. They do this, she does that. They raise their kids and they go to ask daddy first, and we, not in my house. They come and ask me. It's a power struggle. And in reality, in that power struggle, we lose power. Is when everyone becomes equal, and you give that creative energy allows you to develop into who you are. If my wife is a better speaker, then she speaks. But my husband will be right behind me. And his presence speaks volumes. So we both speak, but we don't all use words. And so I can respect the quiet man just the same way I can respect the loud. And so we have to measure each other on a different metric system, because we have the wrong scale. And we're going to always be coming up short. We're cheating ourselves.
Well, that goes just in conjunction with the letters of Willie Lynch, when he said that the woman, when she have a male child, she'll become physically strong but psychologically weak and dependent. So what you have is role reversals, where you have they said the nigger woman out front and a nigger male scared to death behind. So we have to look at what was the aim and objective and purpose in them dehumanizing, destroying the black male-female relationships like that. We were taught that the male should be taught by the male and the female should be taught by the female. And then when we come to one another, we'll know how to conduct ourselves and relate one to the other. I was listening to his brother, Dr. Umar Johnson, out of Philadelphia, and he said about how when the woman has a male child and you can't handle really that hyperactivity of that male child, because the nature of the male and female are two different natures. So now when this woman who may not be educated herself or not knowing how to handle this male child, you may say, I have to go get him, what's the word? Tested. And then when you get him tested, they say, well, this hyperactivity in him, he needs to get, some psychotropic drugs. So then you take it to the school, and the school says, okay, he has a behavioral problem, so we're going to put him in a special class. It's not that there was anything wrong with the child. The nature of the male and female are two different natures. We can look at the same thing and see two totally different things. So until we get into the classroom as the male's teaching the male and the female teaching the female, and then we come to the table and relate one to the other. If, like you said, if a better idea came from the queen, that doesn't say anything about emasculating a man. It's just that a better idea came from you, because we both came from the same source.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I think we can talk about this subject a lot.
Yes.
I totally agree. But we have, the problem is that we have so many men now, and so many women too. But I see the problem a lot in men, where if the woman does have the brilliant idea or the woman does have the solution, they do feel emasculated, demasculated. They do feel that, you think you better than me now. And it's almost, again, it's that mindset that we've created that was in us as slaves where, if someone is a certain way or think a certain way, then they're better than you. Instead of us coming together and realizing, like Brother Kenneth said, we are one. So if my husband is saying, I think we should do X, Y, and Z, and I'm thinking like, yeah, this works, then, it's not that he's smarter than me or his education was better than mine. It's just that God chose to use him to give that answer out. Now, if I was to say that answer, would he feel that same way? Would he be as accepted as I am to his solution and not feel like, I'm trying to overstep my bounds? And so it becomes a thin line now in a household where there's a man and a woman, there's a power struggle, there's a thin line. I don't want to say the wrong thing because I don't want him to think that I'm overstepping my bounds, and I don't want to say too little because I don't want him to think that I'm inactively in this relationship. I'm just sitting there with my top on, thinking that I'm not going to be effective in a relationship. So there's a thin line in relationships on how to play your position. But the truth is, we still have to play our position. You have to know your place, and the more and more we know our place, the more and more I'm in a relationship. And again, I'll say it again. I don't have the answers. Like Brother Kenneth said, every day I'm learning how to be a woman. Every single day. So the more and more I'm learning how to play my position, the more and more I'm finding my faults. I think it's so easy, especially in a marriage, to look at your partner and say, you're wrong. This is wrong about you. That's wrong about you. Change this, change that, pull up your pants, get your hair cut. And we're refusing to recognize the faults that's inside of ourselves. So I think the more we come into revelation, the more first we start realizing our own faults. Before I start pointing fingers at my husband and what he's not doing, the first revelation God gives me is, what do I need to change about me? What's wrong with you? How do you change this? And I believe with everything inside of me, the moment, again, Brother Kenneth said it, when the woman takes her positions, because we hold 75% of the nation inside of us, when we change our position and change our mindset, our atmosphere has no other choice but to fall subject and fall in line with what we've created inside ourselves, because we are the mothers. It's inside of us. So you ever notice, and a lot of men say it, a happy wife makes a happy life. Because if the woman is not happy, the whole atmosphere is off chain. Yeah. The whole atmosphere is off. And so if a woman is in line and in tune with her position and who she is in God and who she is what she was created to be, then the atmosphere, the man has no other choice but to fall in line. And if he don't, I promise you, he will be removed. It has no other choice. That's how the earth works. He will be removed because you have to fall in line with the atmosphere, and the Bible teaches us that over and over and over again. There's one particular scripture that says the wheat and the tare grow together, and I'll come in and I'll do the separating. What that means is that your strength with my strength will both come up together, but if he or she does not belong there, then God would do the separating. You don't even have to force someone out your life. And this talking about marriage, sister relationships, girlfriends, friends, boys. You don't have to force someone out your life. If you guys are growing together, moving together, if they're not on the same alignment as you, they will eventually fall off. So you don't have to do anything. But I believe in a marriage, if the woman first, we find our place, he has no other choice to find his place. And I'm just taking keynotes inside myself because I'm going to find my place. Amen.
I definitely agree with that. It's one of those things where, as everyone was speaking, I just kept hearing partner. And somewhere along the relationship line, we lost partnership. And we became mother, and the husband became child. Or either the husband became father, and the wife became daughter, child. And so if we can begin to realize that we are partners and not subjects to be manipulated or owned or enemies, then we can begin to work together. It's a team. And no one gift is greater. If you are the head and I'm the net, no one gift is greater. You don't see it, so I'll change your face and help you to see the things that you don't see. Respecting each other's gifts and talents, not as a hindrance, but looking at it in the mindset of a kingdom foundation, in which in every kingdom you want to have an oracle, somebody with sight. You want to have somebody with vigorous physical strength. You want to have people who have mental capabilities and educational strengths. So if you are looking to build an empire kingdom, then all gifts are valuable. All gifts are valuable. If you have a sensitive wife and she's all, then you need to definitely be in tune with her, so that when she feels that the atmosphere is shifted, she would feel it soon before you did, and can protect you, using it as protection, using it as a way to expand our kingdom and not something to be manipulated. Getting that manipulation mindset out of our heads, because that's what we were taught. Hold and harness your gifts so that no one else sees it, so that not even you. And so respect who you have and take it as pride, and to be proud of the fact that your counterpart has those gifts, and utilize them. I think that for me, because I was once married, divorced, and single again, it showed me the importance of time spent in your singleness, that it's not a punishment, and the world will teach you as a woman of a certain age what's wrong with you. If you're in your 30s, you're not married yet, I don't have any children, what is wrong with you? And so eliminating that and really understanding the beauty of being in your singleness, the time spent studying yourself and others, the time spent perfecting your gift so that you can be of value to a king's kingdom, so that you are queen's material. And I think just not only for you and to be aligned with someone else, but just to change the world. Your single time is time spent perfecting, working diligently. Like the Bible says, when you become a wife, your mindset is set on the things of your house, your husband, his needs, and your children, and you get consumed. And whether we subconsciously or consciously do it, you are consumed with making sure that you're a house, because now you're raising vessels and now you're tilling a garden. But when you are in your singleness, you can walk through many gardens, and you can learn what flowers exist, and you can see the world in a totally different perspective and have the ability to transform it and to make a action happen in a totally different way, in which you don't have to mingle or talk with or come up with a solution with someone else. This is a particular, I always see it as you have the ability to pray till you fall asleep. You have the ability to read and fall asleep with that book in your face and wake up and have only an hour sleep and still get back up and serve some more. You have the ability to walk outside and say, if I'm going to feed the hungry all day today, I can do that. And that's okay. Your time is valuable. And so in your singleness, work. Because there will come a time where work is going to be transformed once that king finds you. And I truly believe in find them while they work. The whole idea of while a woman is in work, while a man is in work, you'd be surprised who's watching you. You'd be surprised how they're seeing your character. And I remember you speaking earlier about how, being married and not seeing the person, because the mirror won't show you who they are. And it's something amazing about watching a woman in work. As you watch her work and how her passion pushes for the things she wants, how his passion pushes for the things he wants, and how he values the things around him, you can say, well, if I become one of those things, how much more valuable will I be? See, we need to begin to watch the things that matter. So in your singleness is observation time. Your singleness is perfecting yourself. And so I've learned not to hate the singleness, but to embrace it and watch the work. Because when the king comes to say, I want you to be my queen, I can say, okay, or hold on. But it's a process. And we're so thirsty because we feel like singleness is being casted out into the wilderness. And so we're so thirsty that the first sign of relief, first sign of a glass of water, hey, I love you, I'm choosing you. We can't wait to call mother and auntie on the phone and sister and say, I'm getting married, but you have not seen the work. And we haven't waited to see the work. So singleness is not the wilderness. There's a lot of water out there. Drink until you're married, but watch. And so when the person comes to you, you can say, I'm sorry, we don't mix. And you're a wonderful person, but I don't feel it. So we have to really work.
That's so important what she said, because like myself, like Shamina, I was married as well. And I could see a lot of things about, as the sister said, pointing out the wrongs in the wife, and the wife pointing out the wrongs in the husband. To save face, I would just say that we wasn't compatible on our outlook on marriage.
I think it's important to learn in your singleness what I will stand for and what I won't stand for. What I like and what I don't like. There's so many women who get married and think that this man has completed them. And that's not what marriage is. When you get married, your mate complements who you are, not completes who you are, because God completes you. And so you should be completed before you even get your mate. And if you're not, then you shouldn't get married because you're a whole person. Marrying a whole person was completing 1 and 1/2 people, and y'all not even becoming one. So it's kind of throws off math. I'm a little good at math, but I think it throws off math a little bit. And so in your singleness, I think it's important to realize your completion, who you are. Again, recognizing who you are, realizing what you like and what you don't like, what you'll stand for and what you won't stand for. So when he does come, you know you won't fall for that first tall glass of water because he has a cute face and, you know, probably some money in his wallet. You'll stand back and say, hold up, let me assess the situation a little bit. So yeah, I do think it's important to analyze yourself and assess yourself, and I think it's important to know your worth and know that when that man or that woman finally comes along, they should complement who you are already inside. That's how you know. And I know there are a lot of single people who may even watch this on the audience that will wonder, well, how do I know that, you know, that's my wife or that's my husband? You know, because they complement you so well. They compliment you. It's almost as if y'all the same person but different sexes, because y'all may not be doing the exact same thing, but he gets it. She gets it. I don't care how crazy or retarded your idea is. You know, you want to sit down and doodle horsemen all day. She's like, babe, that's the best horse I ever seen. She gets it. You know, he gets, you know, he gets your little, you know, for me, my thing is, you know, at 4:00 in the morning, I'm playing dress up by myself. And I've been doing it since I was a kid. I would wake up in the middle of the night and just dress up like I'm going somewhere, full face of makeup and everything. My husband used to be like, where are you going? Now he'd be like, you look nice. Yeah, get it, because this is what I want to do right now. I still play house by myself, and he gets it. So, you know, your mate, how do I know? Because in dating, he'll get it. You'll get it. That's how you don't rush anything. Don't try to make something there that's not. And as women, we're natural nurturers, and we naturally see the best in men. We can see more in you than you can see for yourself. And sometimes we mistake that as love instead of realizing that it's our natural thing that God put inside of us as a nurturer. We mistake that and say, you know, I know that's my husband because I see so much in him. Not realizing that naturally we're gifted to be nurturers. So we mistake that gift as love. So don't mistake your natural nurturing ability as love, because you'll find a man that's totally dependent on you. He won't even wipe his own self, but babe, you want to go get some tissue? It was home all day. You know, and so you find yourself with a headache because you did not wait and assess the situation, because you thought that what you felt was love when it was just nurturing. God sends people in our life for many different reasons. Some stay for a lifetime, some just for a moment. But the problem comes in when we mistake those lifetime people for moment situations, or we mistake those moment people for lifetime situations. So I'll tell you, as single people, male and female, don't mistake your moment situations as lifetime situations, because everyone you date or encounter is not your husband or your wife. It's just an encounter on the road to your destiny.
We've had a conversation privately outside of this, but every time I hear, I'm compelled to speak on it, because you have to be complete before you get into something with someone else. And that thing used to bother me so badly as a single woman. And I hope you remember the conversation we had. But it was because I always felt like, in my own theories, there are certain levels of ourselves and our consciousness that we will not allow ourselves to see about ourselves, that can only be unlocked when matched with someone that is meant to match with. And most of the time, he's not going to, you know, the idea, propaganda, they all the commercial lies will tell you that you're going to meet, if you are a successful woman, then your husband will be also successful. If you are, you know, a thinker, he will also be a thinker in the same way that you are. And it's almost like two pairs. And that's not the case. And my theory is that we are broken pieces. We are halves. And part of the wholes is God. And the other part comes when you connect yourself to that creative energy that matches with yours. And then it opens up a whole nother enlightenment to yourself. It allows you, they see things in you and challenge you. And so the misconception that marriage is supposed to be, oh, we're walking down the street and we're happy with each other all day long and we can't get enough of each other, is false. The truth is, it should be uncomfortable. The truth is, you're going to argue a little bit. The truth is, it's going to jolt something in you that annoys you because it's there to change you. It's there to change you. It's the halves that you need. And so if you can learn to respect it and let it mold you, let it do what it needs to do and have its perfect will in you, then you can become whole. But if you can't, that takes humbleness. That takes you to be humble. That takes you to be able to say, okay, I know that she has something I lack. So when I'm annoyed and when I'm challenged, it's because it really is what I want for myself, but I can't. It's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. And the same thing with, in the female sense. Hey, he has something I need. And I know I don't think the same way and I can't process the same way. And it may not make sense to me all the time, but I know I need something. Whether it's his tough skin, whether it's I need something because it's about protecting myself. It's about becoming the best me that I can be. And so opening yourself to learn and be perfected by your partner. It is not roses and candies and floating on air and everything he says you love because it's going to challenge you. It's there to change you. And so the idea that they sold us this dream and this fantasy, and when our situation doesn't fit into the fantasy, then she can't be the one. And we pass up individuals that are meant to be in our lives, and we get individuals that are almost like modern day slavery. And we find the wife that'll say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and never challenge your ignorant thoughts. And we find a husband that'll say, whatever you need, baby, and never tell you that you're completely wrong and skewed. And so my vision of being married and single again, I learned the tremendous amount of endurance. And you have to be ready. You have to be ready to divorce yourself. And like he said, and in divorcing yourself, really saying now, that's saying I want to change me. I recognize that I'm not the perfect being that I want to be and that I can still learn. And so now I'm ready to change. And now who's this individual that brings the half that I need?